I'm Cedric Burnside, and yeah, we here finna do the thing. Right now, we in New Orleans. My big daddy was the late great Burnside, and I grew up with him my whole life. He was like my father, really. I just grew up around this unorthodox, beautiful, hypnotic music. And which at the time I had the slightest idea, what was so special about this music. But just about 6 or 7 years old, I remember seeing my, big daddy and my dad and them throw house parties, just about every other weekend. And we had a little, regular shack, and they set up the little regular drums and, amp and just jam out, and all the neighbors, from the span of maybe, 20 to 30 miles will come and, listen to the music every weekend. At a young age, just watching them play, I knew, I knew that that's what I wanted to do. I just knew from, just watching them as kids. I never thought that playing music or, playing drums or anything would take me this far, but I'm damn glad. I first started playing in the juke joints, you know. I was about 10 years old. My Uncle Gary was about 12. Um, we had no business in the juke joints. Trust me. Moonshine, all that stuff floating around. But we was good kids. Nobody never offered us anything, anything like that. But they used to hide us behind the beer coolers, because sometimes the bass player might not show up, the drummer might not show up, and me and Gary, we was the band, so they needed us. And if the cops came and we was in there, they sent us home and wasn't no band. And so Mr. Junior Kimmer made sure that he, taught Gary everything on bass and made sure I sat there and listened and played the drums just in case, the bass player don't show up or the drummer don't show up again. But yeah, that's where I first started playing at, man, in the juke joints, Junior Kimmer juke joint. From there, I went on the road with my big daddy at the age 13, and I started doing tours with him. My first tour was in Toronto, Canada. It was very new to me. I was used to playing at the juke joints and doing my thing there, but when I got ready to leave Mississippi and come somewhere else, to a totally different country, it was like butterflies. I was scared. I didn't know how they were going to receive the music. I was like, wow, it was something, tied up and knotted up in there. But after the first couple of songs, the people was clapping and they loved it. And, I really realized then, the butterflies went away. But I realized at that moment, 13 years old, that it was probably the authenticity of this music, the uniqueness of this music, the unorthodox style of drumming, the unorthodox style of guitar playing, and so people started to get it, and it was right then when I started thinking that way. But I never knew how special, like special, this music was until I was, in my early 20s, and this lady come to me and she was crying, and like she was literally crying, and she said, "You helped me through a whole lot, your music was my whole life growing up, and I was like, wow, she brought me to tears, and so it was then when I realized really how special this music was, and I thank God and R.L. Burnside, for everything. My heart is the real hill country deal blues. That's what my heart is, and so I can listen to anything, but when I play it, it's gonna be from my heart, from where I come from, and where I come from was a rough, dirty, grimy place. I think all music is meant to be here, but this music here, it has it has something in it, man, and it's a little bit of everything. It's a little spiritual, you know, it's a little physical, and I mean it's a little bit of everything in this music, and I think it's meant to be here forever, man. And I wanna put it here, you know, as much as I can before I leave this world. And I want to pass it on to the younger generation, you know, Burnside family, the Kimbrough family, and let them carry it on, you know. I'm not even trying to fill my Big Daddy's shoes, and I done said this before, I actually think that's impossible. You know, just like as for Junior Kimbrough, I think it's impossible to fill his shoes, you know. They made a special mark on this, you know, earth, and it will be here for years, man, years to come. And I'm just really trying to keep this music going and, of course, make my own mark, but also show people where I got it from. You know, they was my teachers. You know, the juke joints was my school. That was my church, you know, and literally, yeah, that was my school. That was my church. I was there all the time, you know, and that's all I know, you know. All right, this is another new hill country song that I wrote. I wake up in the morning, sun shining on my face, and I drink a cup of coffee. I might roll me a J. I might go outside. Sometimes I go for a ride, and that's a typical day for me, and that's a typical day for me, and that's a typical day for me, and that's a typical day for me. I pick up my guitar, I might write a song or two, I might get a few phone calls. Somebody want me to play the blues. Most times I say yes. Sometimes I say no. But just about every day, that's just how it goes. And that's a typical day for me, and that's a typical day for me, and that's a typical day for me, and that's a typical day for me. And that's a typical day for me, and that's a typical day for me, and that's a typical day for me, and that's a typical day for me.
Sounds good.
I just want to be a part of hill country, you know, until I leave this world.
Thank you, Cedric.
Yeah.